Wangari Njuguna has been appointed to replace her.
I've made the following changes in the various roles.
Following public outcry on the performance of the health sector in Laikipia County, where over 60 doctors were sacked 2 years ago, Governor Nderitu Murithi has interchanged the health and administration CECs.
Continue the process of improving the Laikipia County public service. You have most recently seen executive order from me looking at the structure of government and making certain changes.
Consequently, Dr. Lenai Kamario is now in charge of administration and Rose Maitai is in charge of health. In other cabinet changes, nominated member of County Assembly Peter Matunge has been appointed to head the Environment and Water Department pending approval by the County Assembly.
Honorable Peter Matunge to be County Executive Member for the Department of Water, Environment and Natural Resources.
The position was left vacant after CEC Njenga Kahiru moved to Maliasili, an ungovernmental organization.
Particular changes we have made in order to align our structure to the strategy that we are following. As you know, enterprise development is a key plank of our performance as Laikipia County, and innovation and enterprise development is across all departments, so that every department, 40% of their performance appraisal comes from enterprise development.
Murithi noted names of other senior staff, including departmental chief officers who have been working on acting capacity, have been forwarded to the County Assembly for vetting and approval. Ruth Wamboi for Channel 1 News.
A section of women leaders in Taita Taveta County have condemned the gruesome murder of a middle-aged woman whose mutilated body was found dumped at Keseweruga sub-county of Wundani. Body parts of the victim, which included her head, hands and legs, were found buried along River Bolobolo, a few kilometers from where her body was dumped. Taita Gender and Youth CEC Vumi Ringo and Taita Taveta woman representative Lydia Haika have called for thorough investigations into the identity of the killers. Residents say the cause of her murder may be due to domestic disputes.
Honestly, kama ni mtu anaamua kufanyia mwenzake unyama kama huo, haya maisha, hata kama amekukosea nini, sioni itakuwa ni vizuri kumfanyia mwenzako kitendo kama kile, badala ya kumwambia, badala ya kuelewana, badala ya kuongea.
Leo tuko hapa na tunasema sheria ichukue mkondo wako. Tunataka kuona haki za hawa kina mama. Na sisi tutafuatilia, and on this one, tutafuatilia tuone mwisho wake uko wapi.
Tunaomba idara ambayo inahusika na mambo kama haya, mambo ya usalama wa ndani, isilale wala kupumzika mpaka aliyefanya kitendo kama hiki aletwe na apatikane na sheria ichukue mkono wake.
Now, a section of rice farmers at the Lower Kuja irrigation scheme in Migori County have accused the Kenya National Trading Corporation of failing to secure markets for their produce. The farmers say the inaction by the corporation is threatening the survival of 5.5 billion shillings irrigation project. Jasper Okoth says it has been difficult to find markets for the 300 bags of rice he recently harvested at the Kuja irrigation scheme several months ago.
So currently I can say we still don't have a stable market.
Jasper is among hundreds of farmers who have accused the Kenya National Trading Corporation of being insensitive to their plight. The farmers claim the corporation has failed to market and sell their products as earlier agreed between the involved parties.
The issue of marketing, of course, is supposed to be dealt by maybe the county government or Migori, and even the National Trading Corporation. We understand it was given some money to be able to buy the milled rice from farmers through groups. But from the information I received, they have had some challenge in offloading the rice that they were able to buy.
They claim the scheme has further faced several challenges from diseases to pest invasion. They are now appealing to the Migori County government to intervene in the matter.
But I'm confident that I've seen even right now in Lower Puja, there are local investors who are coming up with a mill that has a bigger capacity. And I'm sure that once those mills are ready, we'll be able to, the farmers will be able to have market, they will be able to mill there and now be able even to sell to other local market around.
The Kenya National Library Services in Mombasa County is partnering with local children's books authors to promote a reading culture among children. The initiative, dubbed Mombasa Reads Kids Club MRK, will ensure the cultivation of lifelong reading habits among children. Sarah Abdi, a children's books author and the pioneer of the project, says the main objective of the initiative is to form a community of readers, enlighten and empower young people in the coastal region.
I believe books can transform us. Not only transforming and entertaining and teaching us, books are also a way to preserve and to pass on our generational knowledge that is existing, our cultures.
We cannot have the resources to be able to sustain all the demands that come with all those children. So we appeal to any donor or any person who is willing to partner with us. Just go to KICD, which is the government agency that gives approved books to the children, get the orange books, get the books that are recommended for the children to learn, and then from there now you can develop a working partnership, and we see how we can involve the stakeholders or donors or any person who wants to partner with the library units that we have developed within Mombasa County.
At least 34 people have drowned after a boat capsized off the coast of Djibouti. The boat, operated by human traffickers, was carrying about 60 migrants escaping conflict in Yemen and who were on their way to Djibouti.
The International Organization for Migration has expressed concern over the tens of thousands of young African migrants making the dangerous journey from the Horn of Africa to the Gulf state in search of work. It said COVID-19 has forced many to return to their countries because many borders had been closed because of the pandemic. The organization said thousands are trapped in Yemen, many living in dangerous conditions, and were being forced to pay human traffickers to get back home. Last month, at least 20 migrants died after smugglers pushed 80 of them from a boat off the coast of Djibouti.
And on that international beat, Channel 1 Lunchtime News takes a short break. Stay with us.
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye Quickly ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353. Alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye Quickly ni bila bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. This is Channel 1 Lunchtime News. We are also live on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Time for business news. A section of farmers in Mombasa County are embracing aerial yam farming as an alternative to coffee farming. The yams fetch between 5,000 to 7,000 shillings per bucket, with a mature vine producing 2 kilograms of yams.
Coffee farmers in the country have been dealing with reduced earnings and marketing challenges as the once lucrative cash crop has been blighted with mismanagement of coffee cooperatives. However, some farmers are diversifying to other ventures such as yams, which they say take little space and can be intercropped with other short-term food crops.
Nikaenda kwa rafiki mmoja wangu akanipatia kati ya mwaka wa 2008 akanipatia hii mbegu akaniambia enda upande. So wakati nilipoenda nikapanda nikaona iko na manufaa mazuri, nikakula, nikaongeza, nikakula, tena nikapatia marafiki wakapanda. Baadaye nikaona hii ni biashara inaweza kuwa inaweza kuniletea pesa.
A mature vine produces an average of 2 kilos of yams, with a bucket of yam fetching at least 5,000 shillings. The yams are said to have a ready market due to their numerous health benefits.
Debe moja waweza kuuza kati ya 5,000 na 6,000 sababu soko iko. Na pia huwa tunasiaga unga na hiyo unga inakuwa inapendwa sana na watu.
Farmers now want both the county and national government to provide them with extension services and quality seeds to boost production.
Kuuliza ni serikali vile inaweza kutusaidia ukuje kutusomeza mambo ya kulima, kwa sababu sisi tuko na chama hata kama sio kubwa, ikija tusomeza juu ya hivi vile tunaweza kulima, tunaweza saidika sana juu ya mafunzo yao.
Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Across the borders, nearly half of oil pipelines from Permian basin, the biggest U.S. oil field, are expected to be empty by the end of the year. Pipeline companies went on a construction spree throughout 2018 and 2019 to handle blistering growth in U.S. crude production to a record 13 million barrels per day. Here are the details of this and other stories from across the globe.
By the fourth quarter, total utilization of the largest oil pipelines from the Permian is expected to drop to 57%. In 2016, it was roughly 70%. U.S. crude output is currently about 11 million barrels per day and is not expected to grow much until 2022. But more pipelines were already set to come online, growing the gap between production and capacity covered by long-term contracts to a record of over 1 million barrels per day in February. Meanwhile, the French economy slowed slightly in April due to tightening of COVID-19 restrictions, easing concerns that school closure will cause a deeper contraction. The Bank of France said activity will decline to 7% below crisis levels in April, after President Emmanuel Macron imposed stricter travel restrictions and ordered schools and nurseries to close. The hit to activity in March was 4% better than previously estimated thanks to improvement in services, industry and construction, according to the institution's monthly survey. The central bank data add to evidence that European economies are proving more resilient than they were a year ago in the face of second and third lockdowns to control infections. Industry and construction sectors in France are almost back to normal, with the exception of the auto and aircraft sectors. Finally, China has forced a sweeping restructure on the Ant Group, so the financial technology firm acts more like a blank. The latest move is a part of a wider crackdown by China to rein in the country's fast-growing tech platforms. Ant's affiliate company Alibaba was hit with a record fine of $2.8 on Friday over monopoly concerns. The overhaul, directed by People's Bank of China, subjects Ant Group to tougher regulatory oversight and minimum capital requirements. Ant Group is China's biggest payment provider, with more than 730 million monthly users on its digital payment services, Alipay. Terry Njenga, Channel 1 Business.
A third coronavirus vaccine has been approved for use in India amid a deadly second wave of infections. Russia's Sputnik V has been deemed to be safe and works in a way similar to the Oxford AstraZeneca jab, which is being made in India as Covishield. Sputnik V gives around 92% protection against COVID-19.
India has so far given more than 100 million doses of two approved vaccines, Covishield and Covaxin. Sputnik V's approval came on a day when India overtook Brazil to become the country with the second highest number of cases globally. With a total case tally of more than 13.5 million cases, India is now only behind the United States, which has reported more than 31 million cases. The Indian government aims to vaccinate 250 million priority people by the end of July. But experts say that the pace of vaccination has been slow, and unless the drive is scaled up, the target could be missed. Elsewhere, Taiwan has said a record number of Chinese military jets, including fighters and nuclear-capable bombers, flew into its airspace on Monday. The incursion is the largest in a year and comes as the U.S. warns against an increasingly aggressive China. Beijing views Taiwan as a breakaway province, while democratic Taiwan sees itself as a sovereign state. Finally, as Britons mourn the death of Prince Philip, they are joined by a tribal community on a Pacific island half a world away. For decades, two villages on the Vanuatuan island of Tana have revered the Duke of Edinburgh as a godlike spiritual figure. On Monday, scores of tribespeople gathered in a ceremony to remember Prince Philip. For the next few weeks, villagers will be periodically made to conduct rites for the Duke, who is seen as a recycled descendant of a very powerful spirit of God that lives on one of their mountains.
Before we come to the close of Channel 1 Lunchtime News, let's touch on some news making headlines in the local scene. Muslims around the world have begun observing the holy month of Ramadan under tight restrictions for the second year due to COVID-19 pandemic that has affected many countries. In Kenya, faithfuls in the 5 counties affected by the partial lockdown will have a unique Ramadan season due to the stringent measures undertaken by the government to curb the third wave of COVID-19. The start of the holy month is determined by the sighting of the new moon.
As Muslims begin observing the holy month of Ramadan traditionally, a time of dawn to dusk fasting, festives, and communal prayer, an unprecedented global pandemic is changing the celebration for the second year in equally unprecedented ways. Muslims faithfuls within 5 counties that are under partial lockdown will see many Ramadan's rituals and traditions curtailed this year. Prayers and celebration will be done in the homes of the Muslims faithful instead of mosques. In Kenya, counties that are not under the partial lockdown are urged to strictly observe the curfew hours during the holy month. All-night prayers, also known as Tarawih, will be performed before the curfew hours.
Inahimiza watu wetu kwamba wachukue nidhamu kulingana na desturi ambayo iliyoko na Wizara ya Afya. Kwa sababu zamani huwa tunajazana misikiti, lakini sasa imepungua kidogo.
Migori Council of Imams Chair Sheikh Ali Mohammed Yusuf says all-night prayers will end early enough to allow enough time for worshippers to get home on time.
Fahamu kafu inakwisha saa 4 sehemu kama hii yetu, kaunti zetu za huku. Kwa hivyo sala ya Tarawih itaanza saa 2:30, itakwisha saa 3:25 ama 20. Kwa hivyo kufika saa 3:30 misikiti zote za kaunti za Migori zinatakikana zifungwe. Na jana naona Mombasa pia mashekhe wameelekeza.
Chief Kadhi Sheikh Ahmed Mohdar urged the able Muslim community and charitable institutions to assist the needy even as they observe the holy month.
Wala la watu kusaidiana na kuhurumiana, ili ni jambo la lazima la kawaida throughout the year. Mwaka mzima tunatakiwa tuwe tunasaidiana, tunawasaidia wale ndugu zetu ambao hawana uwezo wa kutosha, ama wako na ugonjwa, ama wamekumbana na balaa. Kwa hivyo tunaomba wale wanaojiweza wawasaidie wale ambao hawajiwezi.
Deputy President in his Ramadan message called on the faithful to pray for the country and the world and observe all protocols put in place to prevent spread of COVID-19.
Na wahusia muombee watoto wetu, familia zetu na taifa letu ili tupate rehema na thawabu za Mwenyezi Mungu. Mtuombee sisi viongozi wa matabaka yote ili tutambue na tuyatekeleze mapenzi ya Mungu kwa taifa letu, na pia Mungu atunusuru Wakenya wote kutoka kwa maovu.
Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria has been arraigned in court this morning to answer to charges of flouting the COVID-19 directives. The legislator was arrested last evening alongside 29 others who are said to have been found gathered and engaging in drinking alcoholic drinks at a restaurant in Mombasa County on Monday night in contravention of the COVID-19 rules. The 30 who were arraigned at Kiambu Law Courts before Chief Magistrate Stella Adambo pleaded guilty to all the 5 counts. They were each fined 75,000 shillings or faced 6-month imprisonment in a forfeit. 11 were in Karuri Police Station, while 19 were in Kiambu Police Station. My colleague Kamche Menza is working on that, and she will be bringing us details as and when they unfold these. As also my colleague is at the Supreme Court, Benson Chumba, who is following up on the interviews of those who are aspiring to vie for the seat of the Chief Justice. On our social media platforms, we do appreciate your feedback. Many of you have been communicating to us from here in the country and across the globe. We do appreciate you, and we say asante sana. For more details on Just Add items and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Irene Muchuma Udim. My co-anchor on sign language interpretation has been Anne Wangeshi. Good afternoon.